In this video, we're going to be talking about what is the most effective lead magnet a career coach can do to dramatically increase the number of sales calls, but more importantly, to dramatically increase the conversion rate from those sales calls. If we have not yet met, my name is Daniel Botero. I've been a career coach for over 10 years, and I make videos like this to help fellow career coaches build a more profitable, impactful, and scalable business. And I'm recording this video because it's a request that I get from a lot of members inside of our career coaches community, and that is how to generate how to do a better job at converting those leads that we're getting from social media into sales calls that actually convert. And that solution is a very strong lead magnet. And I'm going to talk about in this video the top 3 lead magnets that I've used, but more importantly, the number 1 lead magnet out of those 3 that I've used, which one has been the most effective lead magnet for a career coach to be able to generate more clients. So if you are new to the concept of lead magnet, think about the lead magnet as that example food that you get at Costco that says, oh wow, this is good, let me buy the whole bag. That is the same thing in the same concept when we're talking about a coaching, consulting, high ticket offer. A lead magnet, it's a way to show your prospects that you know what you're talking about, that you have a strategy or a solution to the problem that they have, and that if they like this, they're gonna love working with you further. Now, there's 3 main common lead magnets that I see career coaches use. One is a PDF/ebook. And even though that is the easiest one to do, you can make an ebook and a PDF on Canva in quite a few hours, it is probably the least effective because most people don't really go and read it or find much value in it. There's a lot of free content out there, and an ebook is just going to be one of them. The second and most common lead magnet career coaches seem to be using and just seem to use is creating a course, a online course, 1 to 2 hour course. And even though that this is a massive value, the problem is that when people don't pay for something, they seem to not consume it. And this is something that I did. I created a LinkedIn course and I would share it with people, and people would be like, yeah, I'll watch it. But when we track to see who watches it, because we use a tool that allows us to see what percentage of the course was watched, we were noticing that people weren't actually consuming it through. And I just think that because the relationship isn't established there, people are afraid to commit 1 or 2 or 3 hours of their time. And so the return on investment from creating a course might not be the best use of it. Second, if they do watch it and your course is very comprehensive, the lead or prospect might feel like they already got all the information they need to be able to go on this journey themselves and solve the problem that they have without your help, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a problem that could lead to not converting enough clients into paying customers because they might have a false sense of security thinking that they now know how to do it, and then 2-3 months later come by and they still don't have a job and they never work with you because out of sight, out of mind, and they hire a different coach. Now, the third, and I would say arguably the best lead magnet, is inviting your prospects into a live webinar, workshop, or what we call a group coaching call. And the reason why this is probably the best of both worlds is because 1, it's just 1 hour, or you're asking them for 1 hour. 2, because they're going to it live, you can assure that they have your attention. They're not watching you at 2 speed, probably like you're watching this YouTube video. And 3, it's going to allow you to have a back and forth conversation if you're having a workshop that is engaging and allowing them to actually set up a call to action and for you to see the results of them booking sales calls right on the call. That won't happen the same way if you send an ebook or a PDF, or if you send them a course with call to actions that they didn't schedule, because you are prompting them to be able to set up the next call to action. If they don't take the call to action, you can follow up with email or messages on the DMs to get them to take that call to action. And because you know who's there and how long they were there, the workshops end up being the best performing ones. Now, where am I coming from with this? Are you coming this from Daniel, from one guy's opinion who's had 1 career coach in business? And the answer is yes, but also now that we've been business coaching career coaches for over a year now, we now have been able to test this theory, and by far the best performing lead magnet always comes down to be a live workshop that could be done either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, depending on the amount of leads that you're generating and how many people are registering. To me, if you know that you can have at least 10 people attend that live workshop, it's worth you doing it. And so what I would see in the market is that if 50 people registered, you can expect 25 to attend if you have a good email and reminder sequence. So 50% attendance rate is good, but we've seen as high as 88% on clients who have a very good engagement and are sending multiple follow-ups. So let's dive into what you should include in this 1 hour workshop so that you can get the most amount of sales calls, therefore get the most amount of clients. In this workshop, you want to be able to deliver value, but I want you to also at the same time avoid some of the biggest mistakes that I see career coaches make when delivering this workshop. So what are those things that you should not do? One, you should not oversell in this workshop. I understand that you're excited and you want them to get to sell, but if all you do for 1 hour is pitch your products, you're going to see a lot of those prospects drop from the call and never engage with you there. Number two, don't over teach. Don't fall into the trap of over teaching and getting them overwhelmed with the strategy where now your prospects are feeling like this is way too complicated and that I need to now this strategy won't work for me because I just don't even have enough information to do. Like, you went so deep into the strategy, you try to pack in so much content in this 1 hour that you just overwhelm them, and now they're disengaged because they have way too many things they need to do and they don't have a clear next step. And then the third biggest mistake that they do is just not selling at all, right? So the opposite mistake, if you're overselling, now you're not selling, not talking about social proof, not giving them a clear next step, and therefore no one is scheduling a sales call. So what I want to do to give you kind of like a real life scenario is I kind of want to walk you through the presentation that's done the best for us and explain to you and give you and actually give you like a mock presentation so that you can see kind of the best performing presentation that we ever did and kind of how I would do them. And mind you, we will be doing this because of the amount of leads that we're able to generate from my LinkedIn. We would do this presentation twice a week on Monday and Thursday and still get about 20 people to show up to each one and get over 75% of people that show up to schedule a sales call and then get over 20% of them to then buy our product. So you can see how effective this workshop is. So one thing that you will see is I don't have a lot of slides, and in this presentation we would always do interviews. I know it's boring and repetitive, but boring and repetitive generates predictability. So let me make myself a little bit bigger here. Boring and repetitive generates predictability. One thing I would do, so I start and I say, I say, hey, everyone, welcome. Super excited that you're here. For the next hour, I would really appreciate if you guys are engaged, if you can turn on your cameras. I'm going to be asking you guys lots of questions. So let's get you started, right? And what I would do in this scenario is that I would start asking them like, okay, where are you guys located? Put the state or put the city or put the country. What's your dream job? And so I would get people to start engaging. And I use this to buy some time so that people can start trickling in when people are feeling like they're about to run late, right? Then I would then kind of set an agenda. I would say, all right, everybody, welcome. I'm super excited that you guys are here. And today, let me set up the agenda. I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour diving into the topic of interviewing. And note, so quotations, one thing I want to do here is I want to let them know that I am going to do my best and tell them everything they need to know about interviewing, but it would be impossible for me to cover everything that I've learned in my last 10 years as a career coach. So it would be something like this. In the next 45 minutes, I will dive into everything you need to know to ace your next interview. But I do want you guys to know that I've been doing this for over 10 years, and it would be impossible for me to put everything that I know in a 45-minute to 1 hour presentation, but I want to go over the biggest mistakes that job seekers make in the interview so that you don't make them. And if you enjoyed this workshop, just know that you're going to love our career coaching program. Now, I will talk more about the program at the end of the workshop. So if you find value in this, make sure you stick around, because this is just a very, very small part of what we do to work with our clients. And quotation there. And Sid, what I did there, I essentially did a soft pitch, letting them know that if they like this, they're going to love the big program, and to stick around into the end so they can learn more. And the goal here is they're going to see the value that I am providing them inside of the workshop, and they're going to be wondering, I'm like, oh my God, if this is what he talks about interviewing, and I know this is a small part about interviewing, imagine what my life will look like if I have Daniel and his team support throughout the whole journey, and I am doing all of that. The next thing I do is I then let them know that we're going to be talking about step 4 of a 5-step process. And so strategically what we do here is that we break down and say, okay, we have a 5-step process to go from, hey, I don't have a job, to landing my dream job. That is clarity, have a clear target, 2, visibility, 3, networking, 4, interviewing, and 5, financial freedom, aka salary negotiation. And in this video, I will breaking down a big overview on interviewing, which obviously don't have time to cover it all, but don't worry, because that's what we cover and that's what we do, and we work with you step by step inside of our program. Now, I will tell you guys that we don't work with everyone, and we only work with a handful of students every single time. But without further ado, let's get started. And as you see, I don't spend a lot of time here. I don't go too deep into my proprietary system or my specific strategy or my secrets. I just kind of let them know, like, we're going over 4. If you do this by yourself, you're gonna have to figure out step 1, 2, and 3 by yourself. And I'm giving them a piece of a solution of one of their problems, but not solving the right next problem. And that is actually one of the biggest tips that I think I learned when gathering data, because in the beginning, I would do a rotating presentation, and I would rotate. So like this week will be clarity, next week visibility. And what I noticed that step 4 was the best converting one. And I think the reason being is because when I did 1, people had enough information to go try to do 1 and try to figure out 2 by themselves. And I think that when you cover a problem that they know they're going to encounter in the future, like interviewing, and versus just trying to tackle like resumes, then they're more likely to work with us to solve the first 3 issues, even though they might have a solution for the step 4. And the second thing that I did there is I am adding exclusivity, and I am adding to saying, hey, I'm not going to work with everyone. Like, we have limited spots. We're very selective. But regardless whether we work with you or not, I really hope you enjoy this and you gain value in it. And so that's kind of like the strategy of this slide. Look, I don't have a lot of slides. Now I'm moving very fast, right? The next slide is I am saying for all of you, I would love for you guys to take notes, but if you want, I will also give you guys a workbook. I'm still giving the PDF, I'm still giving the ebook, but now I'm doing it for the people who attend. At the end of the workshop, I would upload this workbook that talks everything that I talk about here with a little bit more templates and examples just for you, so that you can get the most out of this equation, right? Again, I am getting them to stay until the end. I am getting them to stay until the end. Next, I set the big 3 points and takeaways, and I let them know, hey, here's what you're going to learn today. Number 1, why companies have interviews and why does it matter. Number 2, the ultimate questions you need to answer to get a job. And number 3, how to get instant feedback. So you see, I have the big bucket, which is interviewing, and I let them know in the beginning, in this presentation, but they're going to walk away with these answers. Again, as a career coach, this is very strategic. It's taken me years to figure this out, and I'm sharing this with you here. The strategy here is that I am helping them understand the psychology and the strategy of interviewing without diving too deep into mock interviews, interview prep, the STAR method, and all those really technical things that are really hard to really break into in 1 hour, and letting them know that we dive into that in the program. Now, I then have to deliver. Like, I have to deliver value. So the next slide is delivering value. So I go and explain why companies have interviews and why does it matter. So the explanation is essentially saying, hey, all companies have limited resources. And every time a company is hiring, they have to make sure that they're making the best use of their capital, right? So if they're paying you $70,000, so I go into explaining this story on how companies are making sure they're making a good investment, and the person who shows that they're the best investment is the person that gets the job. I kind of go and explain the theory that the most qualified person doesn't mean that they get a job. It's the person that shows why they're the best investment, the low risk versus reward. So I go on explaining, and it says it always comes down to, out of all the applicants, why are you the best investment? Which explains this. I just literally, within like 2 minutes, was able to go and explain this, right? Why do companies hire, or why do companies interview? I just explained it. This is why company interviews. They're looking for the best investment. They're trying to mitigate the risk in their investment. And then 2, the ultimate question you need to answer to get the job. What is the ultimate question? Out of all the applicants, why are you the best investment for the company? And then I go on and explain that in order to show that you're the best investment, you need to look at 2 factors in the equation. Why hiring you is a low risk, and why you're a high potential, right? Because if you, like an investment or a low risk investment with high returns, that's an ideal investment. Everyone would invest in it, and therefore they would hire you. And so I just go in and communicate all of this stuff, right? Why communicating how you envision a future with the company for at least 2 years, right? If a company hires you and you don't stay with them for 2 years, then the company generally sees that as a bad investment. They lost money, training, and all of that. And so you need to be able to show the company why you want to be there for at least 2 years. And then you want to let them know why you could not only do the job that you're being hired to, but have the potential to do more. And that answers that question. Now we say, okay, well, how do you show that you're a low risk, high investment? And I then go and I show examples of some of the portfolios or work or projects that we have helped our clients do. And this is something that we teach inside of our program. And so again, I am showing them examples of work of our clients that have gotten jobs and interviews with like top companies like Oscar with Google, or Sudarshan with Peacock. And I go and I show examples and I say, hey, these are the type of things and strategies on how to create this type of stuff that we teach inside of our program that we just don't have time to dive into today, because that's not just part of the interview module, that is part of the visibility and networking modules. And again, I am softly leaving crumbs that are pointing to why they need to work with us, right? And why our program is so effective and efficient. And that then leads to showing them and I get them engaged, and then I ask them, like, can you see, if imagine 5 years from now you're a hiring manager and one of the people you interview sends you one of these documents, are you more likely or less likely to want to hire them? Do you see this as a high return, low risk? And the answer is always yes. And so they're now following through, and they're saying, okay, Daniel, I see it. I understand the value. I understand all of this, and they're following through. So I have now answered why companies have interviews and why does it matter. I've now said the ultimate question you need to answer to get a job, which is why are you the best investment. I have now showed them some of the strategies that we dive into the program on how to create presentations like this that are customized for the company and helps you with interviewing and networking. And now I need to dive to the third one, which is okay, then I go into the interview process, kind of break down the overall, hey, what's the purpose of the screening interview? What's the purpose of the hiring manager? Why do sometimes you have to interview with your boss's boss? That was something that was very common in PepsiCo, where you would interview with the VP. And then I go into the last slide that shows the answer to the third one, how to get instant feedback. So I talk about how most people don't ask questions after the interview. I dive into some of the questions. And then I always share an example of it. My favorite question to ask at the end of every interview: is there any particular reason why you think I might not be a good fit? I explain the rationale. I talk about what's the best case scenario when you ask this, the worst case scenario after you ask this, and the middle case scenario. I go into a story of a student that got a job at Salesforce by asking this question. Again, more social proof. And then I say, do you guys have any questions about interviewing? I try to keep those questions really short and sweet. If they're going too deep, I say, hey, this is something we dive into the program, but it gets really, really broad. I also recommend you don't need to have this section. You don't even have to answer questions. You can just end it here, but not just end the presentation. Now, we did the intro, I delivered the value, and this transition, the next 5 minutes are very, very, very important, and this is how you're going to be able to dramatically increase your conversion rate of attendees to scheduling a sales call. So let me share with you some of those best practices. So at this point, they are hyped. I delivered a lot of value, but not enough where they feel like they can go do this themselves. In fact, I sprinkled in a lot of instances where we dive deeper into the program and we will then support you in the program, right? And then I say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, and I make it funny and I make it personal, and I would say add your personality to it. I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, Daniel, you just wasted an hour of my time. This was so bad. You owe me an Amazon gift card for $20 for wasting my time. And 10, Daniel, thank you so much for inviting me. I learned at least 1 or 2 things that I can do to dramatically improve my chances of getting past the interview next time I have one. What would you rate this workshop? And I will tell you, I've been doing this for a long time. I only get 9s and 10s. Now, I've seen other coaches that get 7 and 8s, but here's the reality. Don't be afraid to add the Amazon gift card thing, because if they didn't find value in it, they would have left already. They wouldn't have stayed into the end. So if they're all the way in the end, that I can assure you that's because they find value in it. And so that's why they're there. And so even though I've done this presentation hundreds of times in front of tens of thousands of leads, I've never had to pay a gift card. I've given people that would say, hey, it's a 10 buck and I still get the gift card. And I would say like, hey, I've delivered over $20 worth of value for you, so let's call it even. So I would just make it a funny joke. But what that does is now you have this herd mentality of all the people, or the majority of the people in this workshop are putting in the chat 9, 10, 8, 10, 10, 8, 9. And it's really high, and you just acknowledge that and said, I'm so happy and glad that you guys found value in it, because if you think this is great, then you're going to love our program. And so you see what I did there is, one, I've been training them on engaging from the beginning, right? From the beginning, where are they from? What's their major? I asked them a couple of engagement questions throughout the presentation. I just wrapped it up with an engagement question where now everyone agrees that this was really valuable and gave me really high numbers. And now this is when I transition into a soft pitch, a very, very soft pitch, because now they know that I know what I'm talking about. Now they know that I have an exclusive program, and I'm going to retell them that right now. But even more importantly, now they know that there's other people that find value in it and are interested in working with me. So this is where I would then say a pitch like this. I said, well, let me get into the presentation mode. So glad that you find value in this. If you like this, then you're going to love our program. And so if you enjoy this and you want to learn a little bit more about what it looks like to work with us, then I just invite you to stick around for about 2 to 3 minutes for me to just explain to you broadly what we do. I will tell you guys, like I mentioned earlier, this is a very exclusive program. We are only able to work with a handful of students a month, and that's why we have very limited spots available. Now, I will say this is not a program that anybody can join to, so we want to actually set up a discovery call with you and someone in my team, or with you and me if you're taking the calls, right? Have a discovery call with me for 30 minutes to see that, making sure that this program is something that we can help with. So let me walk you through what that call will be like. First of all, this call is free, and whether we ultimately work together or not, you will have clarity on what's holding you back from landing your dream job. And what I will do in that call, if it's me taking it, or what my team and I will do in this call, is that we will spend the first 15 to 20 minutes trying to understand your backgrounds, your goals, and your aspirations. And if my team and I feel like we can help you accomplish the goal that you've set for yourself, the job that you want in the timeline that you want, and we feel like we can support you, and that with our strategies, our support, and everything else, we can help you do that, then we will invite, and we have spots available, then we will invite you to be part of the program. So I'm going to put a link here for a calendar link. First come, first serve. I have very limited spots available, so go ahead and do that. And then while you guys are filling that form out, I will take a couple of minutes to explain to you what working with me looks like further. Okay? Then I go and then I put the link, and then I'll let people are going to start booking calls. I have an automation through Zapier it's connected to my Slack channel that lets me know the name and the time and date that person booked a call. So our people are filling this in. I go, okay, let me tell you guys a little bit more about the Opnies Academy. So I would then go into the pitch, very, very short pitch. So I would say, hey, I've been a career coach for 10 years, and we've developed the academy to work with our clients from beginning to end. The 5-step process, we will walk you through clarity, visibility, networking, interviewing, and salary negotiation. We know that for anybody to achieve a really big goal like landing their dream job, you need 3 main pillars. 1, you need the right strategies. As you can see, you got a taste of that today. 2, you need accountability. So we're going to set you up with one of our career coaches that will hold you accountable, that will work with you and handhold you through this process. And 3, you need a community. You're going to get access to a community of fellow international STEM students, and we will have been having office hours and events so that you feel supported throughout this journey. So strategy, accountability, and community. And if you have any questions about this, that's where I would encourage you to schedule a call. We understand that everyone's background, goals, and aspirations are different, and that is the reason why we want to also offer those discovery calls to see if your background, experience, and all this matches what we can do to deliver this service. Boom. By this time, you start seeing some of the people that have already booked a sales call trickle in, and I would actually call their name. I said, hey, Presha, super excited that you scheduled a call. We'll see you on Tuesday at 4 p.m. And then because I started naming names, other people that haven't booked a call will start having FOMO and start booking the calls, and gets them all excited. That presentation, my friends, that I just shared with you, and that whole strategy and those kind of scripts is what's generating us about 75% on the low end conversion rate from people attending to scheduling a sales call. So you can see how effective this workshop is. Now, if this is something that you find value in, just understand that this is just a small part of what we do. Like, this is my self pitch to you, right? Out of all transparency. If you find value in this video, then you're gonna love our academy. And our academy is meant to help career coaches get to that 7 or 6 figure mark. It's meant to help them implement the same marketing funnel that worked so well for me when we were onboarding 40 clients a month into our career coaching business. We will help you implement it. So if you want to learn more about what it looks like to work with us, there's a link below here for you to schedule it. And I will tell you guys the same thing I kind of was telling to students. We don't work with every career coach. We set up those discovery calls. Yes, they're sales calls, but we set up those discovery calls to get to know you. They're 1 hour long because we're diving into your business, and we will ask you a bunch of questions about your business, your goals, where you are, where you want to be. And if my team and I feel realistically, very ethically, if we feel like we can help you accomplish the goals you have for yourself in the timeline that you have for yourself, and we have spots available because we also have limited spots, we will invite you to be part of our program. And again, same thing. Imagine this was a live workshop. Same thing I would tell you. If you are a career coach struggling to get consistent clients, then I would encourage you to set up a call with myself and my team so we can see if we can help you. I truly hope that you gain value from this. If you haven't liked and subscribed this already, make sure you do so. This workshop, was a game changer for us when we implemented. The topic of interview was a game changer, and again, I can't speak more volumes of why this is so important in increasing your sales calls, and not only your sales calls, your closing rate. I would rather have 10 sales calls of people that went to the workshop first and then scheduled a sales call than 20 sales calls of people that went from LinkedIn to sales call. These are going to be way more warmer leads, and it's the reason why we always want to have that in all of our clients. We always want to have a group coaching call. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.